All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's First Thursday's presentation. Just a couple of quick things before we get started today. We are going to be recording today's session so that you can view it again at a later time or share it with a colleague who may not have been able to attend. We upload recordings of our sessions to our EDWS YouTube page, so we'll be providing a link to that in the follow-up materials. If you have any questions or comments during today's presentation, please make use of the WebEx chat box feature on the side of your screen. If you have any technical issues, you can send that comment to all panelists. And if you'd like your comment or question to be visible by everyone, including the other attendees, you can send it to everyone in the subject line. We are very, very excited to have some guest speakers with us today from the American Heart Association here to talk to us about CPR and AED Awareness Week. Without further ado, I will turn things over to our guest speaker, Christy, and let her take it away.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Making sure everyone can hear me well. So I'm glad that I'm here today. Really excited to talk about CPR and AED Awareness Week. At the American Heart Association, we have a lot that buzzes around CPR and CPR responsiveness when it comes to community impact work. I myself, being the Community Impact Director at the American Heart Association in the Metro Atlanta area, for Heart Month in February, we did a lot of community activations around helping people be equipped with the skills to learn hands-only CPR, and also making sure that if people want to get certified in CPR, they have the ways and the resources to navigate in the community and find those instructors to get them certified. So really busy month for us in February, and it's a continuous busy work when we look at the awareness and the responsiveness that we want to have instilled in our community. So I'll talk a lot today about that, but also just about how important CPR is. And so today we'll learn a couple of things. We'll do some introductions into CPR, some hands-only steps, which are very simple, and we'll all learn them by the end of this presentation. We'll do a bit of practice in our own virtual way, and then we'll have some final takeaways. And so with cardiac arrest, the real truth is that cardiac arrest is something that doesn't always happen in the hospital setting. It can happen in a home, it can happen in a community. I myself had to perform CPR at the LAX airport while traveling to see my family. And so, considering that when we are equipped with the skills to learn CPR, we also have to be ready to use those skills, right? And be confident and assertive in the ways in which we use CPR in order to save a life. So, if you're reading this on the screen here, by the time you're done reading this, someone has unfortunately died from a sudden cardiac arrest. And so the severity of this issue is something that American Heart Association would take very seriously. And so that's why the challenge and the call to action is to make sure that people are equipped with hands-only CPR training. And so when we look at the risk factors, right, and the chances of survival, after 10 minutes without CPR, their chances of surviving are close to zero. So 10 minutes isn't a long time, right? But when we look at how long the brain is not getting enough oxygen and the inactivity of the heart pumping to make sure that the blood is flowing, that is a very long time. And so the body is trying its hardest to sustain itself when there's no support there. So CPR acts as that support. When you're performing CPR, you're literally acting as their heartbeat, right? And so you're reviving the heart and making sure the blood can flow properly. And so all these things are very important when we're looking at CPR. And even though we're being trained and thinking, oh, this is just something I'm doing, this probably won't happen for me, I won't probably have to perform CPR, you never know. And so being equipped with those skills is very necessary to everything that we do in our preventative care. And so, as I mentioned before, sometimes it's an assumption that cardiac emergencies or arrests only happen in hospitals, but nearly 70% happen in the home, right? So, if we look at that statistically, we look at around 2 of 3 people that are under cardiac arrest, it happens in their home. And so this huge number and this huge statistic is very important to highlight and point out when we look at how we can equip ourselves Sometimes, if you have the capacity to have an AED in the home, which is an automatic electronic defibrillator, which can shock the heart back to life, if you have the capacity to have one in your home, I highly encourage that. You just never know. And so, equipping us all with the skills and tools to perform CPR and have the responsiveness plan, we can all be better suited for this type of care. So when we look at some studies and some data, we look at bystander CPR and that we notice that about 23% of men had higher odds of survival than women, right? And 45% of men received bystander CPR compared to 39% of women. I wonder, could anybody throw in the chat for me or just give me a shout out of why you think there are more um, disparities with women surviving CPR than men? If anybody has some ideas, I'd love to hear them. Um, but with this disparity, right, of men being served with CPR more than women, we all as people need to be responsive to those who are under cardiac arrest or emergencies. Ryan and Cheryl, if there's anything in the chat, I'd love to hear it. If not, I can move forward. Okay, good. Alexis, okay, so a couple of people said women have different symptoms of cardiac arrest. Okay. Yes, that's a good thing to point out. I always say, in my jokingness, that there's usually two reasons why people are afraid to perform bystander CPR to women. And that's good, Nita. Women may not speak up. So when you're under cardiac arrest or cardiac emergency, usually people are a bit apprehensive to perform CPR on women because of the breast placement and how they can place their hands on the chest. But the reality is, as long as you are pressing hard and fast in the middle of the chest, being man or woman, regardless of biology, we can all be equipped to save a life. And so, thank you guys for those responses. Those are really good. So when we look at the disparities ethnically, right, we look at Black and Hispanic Latino adults, 41% less likely to receive CPR in public. And so we look at systemic racism, right, and that being a whole issue of its own. But even when we look at the life saving and survival opportunities that people of color have, they have a severe disparity when it comes to people not feeling comfortable performing CPR on Black and Brown communities. So even with that piece, having this universal concept of how can I be of service, right? How can I make sure that the lives of those around me are secure and safe and whole, regardless of background or ethnicity? That's going to be really important. And so shedding all of those different implicit biases that we might have, or just the simple fear that we might have. I think the quickest response to that is if it were somebody you loved that needed to have their lives saved, you would want to make sure at any cost that their life is secured. And so, even in the community, even in public, using hands only CPR is going to be a great way to make sure that those lives are having a better chance of survival. So this is a health equity issue when we look at who is being trained and the lack thereof. And so with AHA, we challenge one person in every household to be equipped with knowing hands-only CPR. During COVID, we found in recent science that usually the traditional way of doing CPR with mouth and hands only has been a good measure, but after COVID, we found that even hands only without mouth to mouth is just as effective. And so the science has proven it time and time again that as long as you can push hard and fast against the chest, acting as their heartbeat, you can be the one that can save their life and that allow them to have a better chance of survival. And so with bystander CPR, watching someone that is under some type of cardiac arrest or even someone who has collapsed, we don't want to ever assume that someone else is going to perform CPR when we are the ones that can be equipped with those skills, right? So I talked about a bit of these disparities before, so as you can read on the screen, there was a couple of things that I've already pointed out, but bystander CPR is a matter of life and death, and that's really the critical key to all of these pieces. If you are equipped with the skills of hands-only CPR, which we'll have time to learn in a minute, you will be able to be more efficient and more prepared and more responsive when it comes to those life-saving measures that you can take. And so there's two simple steps when it comes to hands-only CPR. And considering that sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death in the US, if we can be equipped to lower that statistic, then why not, right? Taking immediate action can triple the chances of survival. So, immediate action is the key, right? The more you think about it, the more that that person is going to be delayed in their survival. So, acting appropriately, acting quickly and efficiently is really going to help somebody with their life, with their survival chances, right? And so, we're going to be equipped with the skills today. We're all going to be able to learn the effectiveness of hands-only CPR and what it takes for those survival rates. I do want to put a plug in too. With cardiac arrest and heart attack, there are people that might think that those are the same thing, right? But they are different. When you have a heart attack, there is a sudden blockage of blood flow in any part of your arteries, right? So when we check the pulse, when we do these things to the body and notice that there is a stop, a block in some area of the artery, then the heart is essentially attacked. It can't process the blood throughout the body effectively. When we look at a cardiac arrest, it is a sudden stop to the heartbeat through it could be impact, as we saw with Damar Hamlin on the NFL field. It could be a stop in its electricity that is forming throughout the heart because our hearts are full of electricity. That's why when we shock people or when we see it in in Scrubs or another general medicine or these shows that we watch where they're clear and all the things, they are essentially bringing electricity back into the heart because it helps with the pulse and it helps with the heartbeat. So sudden cardiac arrest is when there is a sudden change in heart rhythm, heartbeat, or electric currency. So those things are different, but either way, whether it's a heart attack or a cardiac arrest, hands-only CPR is still going to work on both sides of the coin. And so how do we equip ourselves with those skills and knowledge? And if you guys have any questions or feel free to come off mute, raise your hands in the chat, always willing to answer some questions. So we're going to be prepared to learn hands-only CPR, all of us together. Two easy steps. First, you want to call 911 immediately. We don't know necessarily what is going on because we're not medical professionals. So, because we are equipped with the preventative tools of getting them to the next step, 911 is a great way because they will talk you through the entire process. They are trained on what to do even more than we are. And so, when it comes to calling a doctor, calling the hospital, all the things that a 911 dispatcher might suggest, they will be able to walk you through step by step, right? Um, some people ask, well, what if I have no phone nearby? You immediately start hands only CPR by pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest. But either way, if there is a phone nearby or if you're in a community of people, you want to be responsive and yell, someone is under emergency, someone call 911. Or if you're by yourself, you can be the one to do that and be on speakerphone with 911 as you're performing hands only CPR on the person that is under arrest. Now, it's important to also know that even though this is a two-step system, there's also an internal step of assessment, right? So depending on where the person is, what kind of ailment that you see, if they've suddenly collapsed, if they have a pulse, if they are breathing or talking to you, that's a good sign that their heart is still beating, but they still probably need some assistance in some way. Either way, 911 is going to be your best bet because let's just say it was a fainting episode or if it was a seizure like the experience I had at the LAX airport, or anything outside of that, still 911 can be a quick way of assessing what to do. Maybe it does require a paramedic to come in, maybe it doesn't, but we don't know that in initial assessment. So, what we do immediately is let 911 be the judge and the determinant of all of those factors, right? Because we don't want to have to think about too much at once. All we want to focus on is making sure that the person that is under arrest or under any type of emergency is properly taken care of, right? So, this two-step system is really easy to remember, but also that internal step of assessment is going to be your best bet of knowing where and how to act appropriately. So, calling 911, first step. Second step, pushing hard and fast against the chest. Now, we're going to do a little demo of what that looks like, right? I wish I had a pillow. Last time I did this virtually, I had a cute pillow with me. But let's just say we have a person that unfortunately collapsed from any type of arrest or emergency. First, calling 911. As a dispatcher is walking you through the process, you are going to put your hands together in what we can call a big fist, right? But one hand interlocks between the other, and you're pushing hard and fast against the chest. Now, when I say against the chest, we're usually going toward the middle section where it's called the sternum anatomically, but it is the middle of the chest, right in between the breastbone, pushing hard and fast, right? Some might say, well, I don't want to break their bones. I don't want to have the risk of any type of ailment that they could um, further have any type of situation. But I will say that I'd rather have a broken bone than not survive from an arrest or an emergency, right? So, not to fear there is a Samaritan law that protects people from being able to perform CPR and essentially save their life. But your focus at the time of an emergency is making sure 911 is on the phone and making sure that you are consistently pushing hard and fast against the chest. I will say it is a workout, right? So if there is a community around you, if you're in an open space where you can have help, tag somebody in, making sure that they're consistently pushing hard and fast. Next 2 minutes, you come back and do the same thing. Now, that's of course in a community setting where you can have different assistant. Now, if you're home alone, there's a significant other or a family member that collapses, you are their lifeline at that point, right? And so it's really important to have 911 on the phone. That way, they can come as quickly as possible with EMS, and then the paramedics can take the next leg and do the rest of the work. But it's your initial job to consistently push hard and fast because, like I mentioned before, you are acting as their heart rhythm at that moment, right? So, do we know what to do? Do we feel good about it? I want to see some ones in the chat if we feel good about the two-step system, right? So, calling 911, pushing it fast against the chest. I see some ones. Yes, very good, very good. Love it, love it, love it. So as I mentioned before, two-step system, calling 911, pushing hard and fast against the chest. Heart.org/CPR has a wealth of resources, so feel free to scan the QR code or just type in the website. You'll see a lot of knowledge, a lot of science, and a lot of data and resources you can use in your own communities and your home. So like I said, for Heart Month, we were very busy. Our campaign was Be the Beat. So our campaign initiative was to encourage everyone in Metro Atlanta and even nationally to learn CPR, at least one person in every household. So I want to see some ones in the chat if you will be that person in your household that understands hands-only CPR, because I would hope that by the end of this session, people feel equipped and ready. I love the ones, I'm feeling the energy. Yes, yes, yes. I had my coffee. So this energy might be a placebo, but I love to see it. I love to see that people are activated and excited. Very good. So there's a 2-minute video that we're going to all watch together. And it's funny, it's entertaining, but it also is very informal. So one moment while I play.
So, Jeff refused to learn CPR with me last night?
Why? Everybody should know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. And it takes a minute to learn hands-only CPR. But he was too lazy to get off the couch to find out how to save his wife's life.
It was the season finale of that show where the trucks drive on.
Oh, dude, don't tell me what happened, all right? I haven't seen it yet.
A lot of cardiac arrests happen at home. And wherever they happen, there's a good chance the person who collapses is someone you know.
Or love, right?
So if Jeff collapsed right now, you could save him.
Unless he collapsed on me, then someone would have to save my life.
But if you collapsed, he wouldn't have a clue what to do?
Not until he learns CPR. And hands-only CPR is just 2 simple steps to help save a life.
Call 911.
And you push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives.
And remember, push to the beat of Staying Alive, and you could save a life.
Take 60 seconds to learn hands-only CPR at heart.org.
What is going on here?
If you see a teen or adult suddenly collapse, it's important to act fast. Helping to save a life is easier than you might think. Just start hands-only CPR. The first step is to send someone to call 911 or call 911 yourself. Then get directly over the victim. Put the heel of one hand in the center of the chest. Then put your other hand on top of the first. Then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. It's important to push at a rate of at least 100 beats per minute, which is about the same tempo as the song Staying Alive. Let's hope you never have to use hands-only CPR, but if you see a teen or adult suddenly collapse, don't be afraid to try it. Remember, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Your actions can help save a life. To learn more, call 877-AHA-4CPR or visit heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
All right, shout out to the Bee Gees. Staying Alive is a great song, but also a great way to remember how many beats per minute you should be pushing hard and fast against the chest. I just want to say too, in the video, it did show that the woman removed the man's clothing. In real life, it's not necessary, I would say, to remove clothing. If you find that there are a lot of accessories, a lot of things on the body to where you can't properly perform CPR, it probably would be the smartest way to be able to perform CPR if you could remove some of those accessories. But I would say that as long as you perform hands-only CPR and fast in the center of the chest, you should be okay, and you should be able to still increase their survival rate. So one's in the chat if we feel good. One's in the chat if you have a CPR song that you like, because my personal song is Crazy in Love by Beyonce, but that's just me. We have a whole playlist, but Staying Alive is a good default to go to if you do want to remember how many beats per minute. All right, so just as a reminder and a review, 2 simple steps can save a life. And it literally took us 2 minutes in a video to understand the importance of CPR, right? And the importance of hands only. And so since a cardiac arrest can happen literally anywhere, we want to be equipped with the skills of hands only CPR. Please visit heart.org/CPR for more information and making sure that you guys have the best resources and the most updated scientific knowledge there is around CPR. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun for me. I really hope it was fun for you. And if there's any questions or comments or concerns, please let me know. I will drop my email in the chat. So if there are community activations that you want to have around hands-only CPR, I love to touch base and connect. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Christy. And as we wait to see if anyone is going to have any questions in the chat, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm actually going to share just a little bit of information real quick for our folks at Georgia State today. We do have some upcoming events, including a health screening today that we wanted to share with everybody. So while we wait for some questions in the chat, I'm going to just talk about that real quick. So we have our first Thursday health screenings because it is the first Thursday of the month today for June. So today from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m., we're going to be set up in the Urban Life West Exhibit Hall. We'll be doing blood pressure checks, BMI checks, and additional health screenings. We have the special scale with us to do body fat percentage for those who are interested. And as a bonus, if you are on the USG Wellbeing platform and healthcare enrolled, you will be able to get 100 USG Wellbeing points for coming to that health screening today. So we encourage you to visit us today. Again, we'll be there between 12:30 and 2:30 p.m. All right, and I don't see any additional questions other than that question about the playlist, which I love. So I just want to say, Christy, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and coming and chatting with us here at Georgia State. We really appreciate the valuable information. And I will definitely let you know if we get any follow-up questions that come through to me. But everyone who attended, thank you today for attending and joining us. We hope to see you at our health screenings, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.